We have Brian Bosma here, your legal counsel. Jason Semler is also on Zoom. You have Dave Patterson and Katie Gorko from Spectra, and you all that are present there.
Okay. We're a few minutes past 9 o'clock, so let's call this meeting to order. Is Jim here?
He's out of town. Cheryl. Did he come in on Zoom? If he
Oh,
did,
Cheryl, yes.
I guess if he didn't come in on Zoom, I'll call the roll.
Will you call the roll?
Dave Patterson.
Here.
Chris Schweitzer.
Here.
Mayor Duke Bennett.
Here.
John Marble.
Here.
Steve Witt.
Here.
Terry Conley. Here. And Emily Crapo.
Present.
Thank you. Are there any additions or revisions to our agenda today? Hearing none, has all the board members had an opportunity to look at the minutes? And if so, the chair will hear approval.
If there are no additions or corrections, I would move for approval.
Second. There's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes as presented. Call the roll, please.
Dave Patterson.
Here.
Chris Schweitzer.
Aye.
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 Duke Bennett.
Aye.
Steve Witt.
Aye.
John Marble.
Aye.
Terry Conley. Aye. Emily Crapo. Aye.
Item number 6 on our agenda today is the old business 6.1, an update on the construction progress with Brian Koistra of Garmong Construction Services. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, John, members of the board. It's good to be here live and in person. Brian Bosma, he's going to try and, he's got a copy of the presentation as well, so I think he's going to try and move along with me as I go through the presentation. So, construction progress for the month of April has been extensive. Recent progress, the parking garage, with any luck, today the last panel will be set on the parking garage, which is a major milestone on that project. Hopefully tomorrow the crane starts getting torn down, and then Friday, end of business, our goal is to reopen 9th Street. So definitely excited about that. The convention center is really starting to take shape. The exterior framing and sheathing, so this is the yellow looking board you see on the outside, is nearing 75% complete. The stairs, the concrete has been poured in the stairs, making those accessible. All the interior masonry walls have been laid. This is really back of house area, which I've got some pictures for you here in a second. Those are complete. Exterior masonry is underway and has started on the north elevation, and it is working its way around to Wabash Avenue now. MEP, which stands for Mechanical, Electrical, and Plumbing, overhead installations are about halfway completed, and interior framing, so the interior walls are already about 75% complete. So things are really coming along. Some upcoming activities. So the parking garage, the next 2 or 3 months will be focused on pouring concrete slabs on all 4 levels of the garage. The convention center roofing should be complete this week. Interior framing will continue. Exterior framing and sheathing will be nearing completion. EFIS, which is an acronym for Exterior Insulation Finish System, kind of looks like stucco. That work is just beginning. Masonry, the exterior masonry and limestone work will continue. Above ceiling, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing will continue. And the skylight installation, there's 4 total. That work began earlier this week. So a few pictures. So this is looking from the roof of the Children's Museum. You can see the yellow exterior sheathing We are now turning that blue. The blue is a waterproofing membrane that goes over the board in preparation for either metal panels or masonry that covers that. You can see the roof, that's the white area on top of the building, obviously, is nearing completion, just a little bit of area in that northwest, or northeast rather, corner yet to be done. You can see on the roof there's 4 squares or rectangles towards the right of the screen. That's the location of the skylights. Picture on the left, this would be standing behind the copper bar looking west. So that would be the east elevation of the building, really where the convention center meets the parking garage on the very right-hand part of that picture. Picture on the right is basically standing on Wabash Avenue, looking west, where the connector to the Hilton Garden Inn will take place, and that work will begin about middle of the summer is when we'll start making that connection to Hilton Garden Inn, which runs down quite a ways along the face of the Hilton Garden Inn building. This is a good look at the moisture barrier application. The picture on the left is be the north elevation. Picture on the right is along Wabash Avenue. This is depicting the interior masonry walls. So this is kind of back of house area, kitchen, loading dock, part of the building. This is a shot of the exterior masonry. So this is more of a block product. When we start laying masonry along Wabash Avenue, it's going to be a limestone material, so a little higher end material along Wabash. This would be the picture on the left would be the wall that runs along or parallels closest to the Hilton Garden Inn. Picture on the right would be the north elevation that faces Cherry Street. Here's a picture of some overhead mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough ends. The picture on the left shows some duct work. The black pipe with the orange fittings, that's sprinkler piping for the sprinkler system. And then towards the top of that picture, see a white pipe. That is the storm drains, or the drain piping from the storm drains. Picture on the right is showing restroom toilet carriers. So they're wall-mounted toilets. These are the carriers that are embedded within the wall for those. So a lot of work taking place there. Picture on the left is the pre-function area. So imagine yourself, you walk in the front door and you turn to the left. This parallels Wabash Avenue. And then the picture on the right starts to show really the volume of the ballroom. You can see we're framing the bulkheads that are located above the ceiling in that space. Here's a picture in the what we're referring to as the spine. This is the main corridor that is perpendicular to Wabash. So you walk in the door, and this would be what you see. The 4 skylights there. There's a little bridge that you see right in front of you. That is where the monumental stair would connect to and take you up to the second floor. Picture on the right again shows the skylights. Parking garage, you can see really taking shape. A picture on the left, these are the last panels that need to be set to finish off the parking garage. And as I mentioned, we're hopeful that is completed today. Picture on the right is a photo taken from the ISU parking garage looking southeast. Budget summary. So as you'll recall, or you may recall, the GMP amount remained the same from January until last month. However, this period, we did have a change order number 9, which really accounted for a handful of design revisions that were issued over the past 3 or 4 months. You can see there's some additions as well as some reductions which are shown in red and are really just changes that have been requested by various stakeholders in the project to the design. Change order number 9 totals $67,298, which brings our current GMP amount to $26,392,000. And in regards to schedule, really happy with where we're at. Substantial completion date remains the same, April 27th, which we're just a bit over a year away from that date. So real confident in meeting that date. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Brian,
David,
I just
yeah.
have one, and it's because of our event schedule for the year, but any idea how long the Hilton Garden Inn connector and that will take, that portion of it?
It won't take too long.
Not a major issue, but
No,
just,
I think we're scheduled about 3 months.
okay,
So if memory serves, we want to start sometime in June. And we've worked with the Hilton Garden Inn. They've got some renovations that are going to be taking place, more room renovations than lobby, but we're trying to coincide our work when they're going to be doing some work as well. But the majority of our work is going to be outside of the exterior wall. We have to pull out some of their windows, but you know, I'm hopeful that aside from closing a sidewalk and some inconveniences like that, they're not going to see a whole lot of impact from the work that we do.
great. Thank you.
Brian, I had a question. Somebody asked me about exterior lighting on the parking garage. Can you kind of tell us what kind or if there will be?
I know there's, I want to get back to you on that.
Okay.
I don't know specifically what types of fixtures and how they shine down on the parking garage. I'd prefer to give you a more thought-through answer on that, but I will.
Anybody else have any questions? Brian? Ladies?
Yes.
Supplies continue to flow. Have you seen any back orders on things, or?
It's a great question. We did run into an issue with the insulation that goes in the interior wall cavities. It called for a mineral wool type of insulation, which 6 months ago, I could have ordered a truckload today and had it tomorrow, and now it's 6 months to get. We were able to find a acceptable alternative material, fiberglass insulation, which we worked with Nations Group and the architect to approve. But other than that, that's the biggest one we've dealt with. But we were able to find a solution. But that one really we didn't see it coming. It was kind of an odd material that's not usually one that's impacted by delays, but a lot of the other materials, take the air handlers, for example, that heat and cool the building. Those are already in town, in storage. Those have been procured, as well as a number of other items. So I'm not going to tell you we're not going to run into any more problems, but I think as we move further and further through the project, that becomes less and less likely. But we're definitely vigilant of those types of things, making a lot of phone calls and, double checking and triple checking availabilities.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Item number 6.2 on the agenda, an update on the Convention Center management. Dave Anderson, from Spectra Venue Management.
Morning, John.
Morning,
everybody.
how are you?
I'm good. I don't know what you're looking at me on, if I'm on this little TV or not.
Yeah.
So, John, did you want to talk GM to start, or do you want me to just run through things?
I think the board would just give an overview of what's happened since our last meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, good morning, everybody. My name is Dave Anderson. I'm Regional Vice President of Spectra Venue Management, and I'm in charge of the transition team and bringing everybody online for the Terre Haute Convention Center. Could not be more excited about the project, and I love looking at the pictures and the development each week. I heard from Brian this morning that there was light snow in Indiana, so I will not tell you my location. But I look forward to getting up there next month to be at the board meeting in person. So our primary focus has been a couple different things since the agreement took place. Most important being the search for the general manager candidate, and we finalized that in the last couple of weeks, and we presented a candidate to John and a few other of the board members last week, and her name is Tennille Warner. Tennille is a 13-year veteran of our company. She's been in the industry for probably about 18 years, and she's been at 3 of our most successful buildings, the Duke Energy Center in Cincinnati, the Utah Valley Convention Center in Utah, and then the St. Charles Convention Center in Missouri, where she's the Director of Sales and Marketing. St. Charles is probably about a 165,000 square foot building, but it is known as the #1 building in our company for convention centers as it relates to revenue driven per square foot. And so Tennille is the Director of Sales, actually in charge of driving that revenue. So she's had an outstanding career there. And also, when she was in Utah for 8 years, she was actually part of the opening team of the convention center. So it's kind of ironic. She came on about 9 months before the building opened as the DOS, and she worked directly with the general manager through all facets of opening that convention center. So she was one of the senior members on the opening team. So the great thing is that we're bringing somebody that actually has been through this before. This is my 4th building opening, and there's nothing like it. It's a very difficult experience, but it's a very rewarding experience, and it's great that we can bring somebody that's actually seen and been involved in that. She's a community collaborator, and most important to me is she's got that entrepreneurial spirit that we actually seek out with general managers. So while she loves collaboration and direction, she really has the entrepreneurial spirit and the fact that she's ready to go as soon as she steps in the door. So we're really excited to present her to the board today, and we're really excited to have her come on board as the general manager of the Terre Haute Convention Center.
As one of the interviewers on the board, she was just quite impressive, and she impressed certainly David and Steve, if I can speak for you both. I think that she's going to do an excellent job here, and like you say, she has a resume that, being a young woman like she is, she certainly has done an awful lot in this industry. So we're excited to have her also.
Right. So other items that we're focusing on is our work with the Nations Group in Garmon. We're attending the construction meetings. Our VP of Operations, Mike Ahern out of Philadelphia, and I are on those calls. We're primarily focusing on things like the parking equipment as they finish the garage, furniture, which will be purchased in the coming months for the building, office space layouts, and then just general flow of the building. The great news is the building is running, from a construction standpoint, is running on time. I think the Garmong and Nations team are doing an outstanding job. And I've been on the other side of this with building openings when it has not run on time and we run into issues. So it's great to see that things are running smoothly. Because one of the things that we want to start doing as soon as Tennille gets on board, and I'll be up there as well, is we want to start doing hard hat tours and actually getting the excitement around the building with the local, state, and national planners. So the great thing is by the pictures you saw today, that is actually moving forward. Our corporate onboarding team is having calls every month. So what I mean by that is whenever we open up a building, we have what's called a corporate onboarding team. So this is made up from heads of each of the departments within our company. So legal, risk, sales, marketing, operations. And I run a call once a month with all of them, and I give them updates on the building, and we're already in full planning mode to get prepared for the opening next year. So each department will support Tennille, but they support me, and they actually do all the little things that's required to make sure that we open the building correctly and we're ready to go. So those are ongoing. And then I was invited to join the Larry Bird Museum calls, which we had the first couple calls a couple weeks ago, which were outstanding, I thought. And so we'll start collaborating with the architect and the teams with the museum, because it's going to be imperative that there'll be a seamless transition as it relates to how the museum is going to run and how it's going to interact with the convention center, both the clients and the attendees. So I think it's a fantastic addition with the building right next door, but I think it's going to create a number of opportunities for us moving forward with clients being able to use the museum for either pre, during, or post receptions or events, besides the general public, which I think are going to be coming from around the world to come see that museum. Being a huge Larry Bird fan, I know I'll probably be one of the first people in line. So other than that, we're keeping busy. And like I said, I'm looking forward to getting up to the board meeting next month in person and seeing all of you and seeing how the project is developing. And that's what I have today, sir.
Good. Any board members have any questions of Dave? No? Ladies?
Mr. President, could I
Yes.
ask two questions? We got an inquiry from the media on Zoom as to the correct spelling of the young lady that is being discussed for the management position.
Yeah, it's Tennille, Tennille, last name Warner, Warner.
And has she been formally engaged by you all for this position, or is it still under discussion?
Are you talking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. She is our candidate, and she is currently an employee of Spectra, absolutely.
And do you need action of the board on that?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And is that something we want to do under new business, Mr. President?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. 6.3 under old business, an update on the RFP process with the Nations Group, and Steve Bauer. Good morning, Steve.
Mr. President, members of the board, I will echo Brian's comments. It is a pleasure to be with you in person, finally. It's been a long road. On the RFP process, there is a resolution that's before you later on in new business to update you with regard to those RFPs that are still being reviewed. The building and operations equipment RFP and the furniture RFP, both were issued on February 11th. The due dates were March 25th. We received 3 responses on the furniture RFP. A response on full furniture from Commercial Office Environments out of Indianapolis, a full response from RJE Business Interiors out of Indianapolis, and a partial response from Theme and Office Products of Terre Haute. Now, what I mean by a partial response is we had a whole list of furniture items that these various companies could provide us with either bids on the specified item or an equal alternate with a price attached. It is not a bad thing that a company said, we're not going to provide you with these certain items, but we can provide you with these other items. So at this stage, with regard to the furniture RFP, those responses are in the hands of Spectra. We are relying heavily on them to review the product because they have so many facilities. They know the quality of the product. They know the pricing for these individual items. So Spectra is leading the review of those, and we hopefully will have a recommendation for purchase of furniture for you in May. With regard to the building and operations equipment, a bit more of a challenge. We received 0 responses on building and operations equipment. And while with regard to floor scrubbers and janitorial carts and the like, that's not a concern at all. We can purchase those at any time in the future. The one long lead item that we need to move on is the parking garage equipment. We have reached out to 3 different parking garage equipment providers in Indiana, and while I expected to see pricing and products, we do have product specifications, but I wanted to see product specifications from all 3. We expected that on Friday. We had not received them as of my boarding the plane yesterday. But at this stage, we expect to have those in hand. My assistant project manager has indicated to me this morning that these entities are pulling together their numbers, and they will be able to get us the prices for that parking garage equipment. That's of a critical nature and why you have a resolution before you later, because we do need to get that purchased, and we need to have those specifications available for Garmong to make sure that the infrastructure for the parking garage equipment is done correctly. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions on the RFP process, if anyone would have any.
Any board members have any questions? Mr. Bauer?
Mr. President, if I might, I want to kind of just expand on what Brian talked about with regard to the supply chain challenge. I will tell you that I feel really fortunate that this project was bid last summer, because what we're seeing in the market nationwide is certainly posing a lot of problems. We're bidding projects in Arizona, in Vermont for the University of Vermont, and in Oregon for Oregon State University. And the escalation of costs that we're seeing are significant. We're seeing costs that across the board are approximately 70% higher than what they otherwise might be. So the fact that you have a GMP contract and we have the majority of the product ordered and in place is truly a good thing for this project. We're going to come in on budget and on time, and I think you should be very proud of that.
Well, thank you, and Garmong for doing an excellent job. I mean, it's really moving along, and I've been through the building a couple of times, calling Brian on, well, nearly daily to talk to him about different things that's going on, but it's going to be a wonderful building and wonderful thing for downtown and for Terre Haute and Eagle County when we get her up and running. Speaking of the budget, an update on our budget, project budget by Jason Simler of Baker Tilly. Morning, Jason.
Morning, John.
Fine, thank you.
I can try to share my screen. Bring up the report that I sent out to the board on Monday. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
And again,
Not everybody.
Yeah. Three of us out here.
Okay. Well, thanks again to Nations Group and Jim's office for helping me and providing me the information to put this together. But as you can see here, kind of broken this out. This is the same report we've shown the last couple of months, between the design and professional fees, the hard construction costs, and the furnitures and pictures. As you can see, that the current budget for the design and professional fees is lower $4.5 million. Through March, spent almost $3.6 million. The amount remaining you spend now the budget was $936,000. For the construction cost budget, about $28.2 million. To date, we spent a little over $10 million, so over $18 million remaining in the budget. And we talked about the furnitures and fixtures and RFP that went out, so that has not been spent. $1.4 million of that budget, and then we still have this over $600,000 of contingencies. So the total project that was approved at $34,891,000 of budget. 13.6 has been spent, leaving at 21.2 remaining in the budget.
just add one note, Brian Bosma. In the design and professional fees, you see $0 for builder's risk insurance. That doesn't mean we don't have builder's risk insurance. Garmong has that built into their guaranteed maximum price. So didn't want anyone to look at that and say, uh-oh.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, did you have a chance to look at it?
Yep, it's all good with me. Exactly. Thank you, Jason, for putting all this together, and I'm very happy with this.
No questions? All right. Thank you, Jason. Item 6.5, an update on the memorabilia cataloging with our new hire, Shelley Keene. Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. Many of you already know who I am and have known me for quite a while. I'm Shelley Keene. For those of you who do not, it's a pleasure actually being able to meet you in person finally. I've Zoomed. with
Mr.
several.
President, could Shelley move to a microphone?
Is that one on?
Says it's on. Power's on.
Maybe get up closer. Bring it to you. That's
Oh,
right.
I'm going to scream now. Is that better?
A little better, yep.
Closer?
Brian, can you hear it okay?
Yeah, we'll
Try
just
it
listen
again.
hard.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. He's shaking his head.
I don't know that I can get any closer to it. I am a lifelong Terre Haute resident, and I can see him on the screen now. I'm excited to be a part of some of the things that are coming to Terre Haute, some of the things that are really, really helping to kind of put us in such a positive direction. I have been in direct contact with a lot of you here, some of the on the phone, text, emails, Zoom. I've been in direct communication with Hilferty and Associates, making progress on, we've been able to complete the workshops that they needed in order to get a better idea and feel of what the museum itself is going to entail. I've also been able to get access to the cataloging system that they are wanting to use. I'm still familiarizing myself with that, but I'm excited. We are making progress, so. Any questions for me?
Shelley, I do have two people, and I reviewed what they have. I think there's a lady out of Greencastle. I think she has a few items that you may want to consider.
Great.
You know, one of which is a program that has every player, coach from the 79 team.
Oh, wow.
Thought that was unique. You know, I didn't know how many of those were available, but I thought that individual piece might be good. And then there's another gentleman here locally, John Benton, who he ran the scores table for 30-some years. And
Forever.
has quite a collection. And so if you could give me an email or something, I'll forward you their contact information and you can take it from there.
Sure, absolutely. Do you want to meet directly after this? I can give you my information and we'll touch base and.
Okay.
Wonderful. Anyone?
Any other questions? Thank you, Shelley.
Thank
Shelley.
you.
All right, 6.6 under old business is an update on our legal matters with Brian Bosma of Kroger, Gardis, and Regis.
Thank you, Mr. President. I apologize for not being there in person today. I actually wanted to see the project, but I was in charge of hosting this Zoom call, and I can't allow screen sharing unless I'm sitting at my computer. So I had to have two screens going here, so my sincere apologies for not being with you this morning. We have completed the contracting with ISF for the fabrication and erection of signage for the convention center. Based on the discussions of the board managers at the last meeting, we also approved, with the president's approval, the add alternate, which changed the millimeter level of the signage from 8 millimeter to 6 millimeter. That was a $6,200 ad, so they are proceeding with that. Steve Witt and a few others had mentioned that $6,000 from the big picture should be spent on this for that purpose. So that is underway. We still have a payment performance bond, minor issue to take care of, just a wrong address on the bond. Did Jim Bramble or Tammy, did they send their original signed contracts to you all, ISF, or do you know?
I don't think I didn't.
Okay, well, they claim they sent them to either you or me, and we did not receive them either, so they'd like their original bonds back. We'll get that one figured out. We also, anytime we do an RFP and select someone through an RFP process, we have to do an RFP registry. We prepared that. The president signed it, and I deposited it with Jim Bramble along with the contract, so it can get on game. As Mr. Bauer indicated, there were no responses to the garage operating equipment. Under Indiana law, if you go through a allowed purchasing process, public purchasing process, and you get no responders, you can negotiate a purchase, and the resolution that you have before you in new business 2021-06 authorizes Nations Group to proceed with the negotiations that Steve mentioned, and he will present a recommended vendor for that to you hopefully next month. And we also hope to have the recommended vendors for the furniture for one of the last easements, the easement with Duke Energy that runs kind of down the vacated alley for the movement of your electrical hookup. We still have outstanding the easements with the Hilton Gardens and the state office building that are ingress, egress. We'll get those squared away in the near future. We are, based on a question that I was given by Nations Group about the purchasing requirements for the manager of the facility, Spectra, we are putting together a purchasing policy for the board's and Spectra's consideration. There are certain things that have to be publicly bid as improvements there, so we want the board to, some of that is addressed in the management contract, but not every specific. So we're putting something together. We'll let Spectra look at it to be sure they're comfortable with it. We'll give that to the board for approval. That'll be a roadmap for the future for the managers to know that they're abiding by your public bidding laws and your local ordinances as well, which also impact that. So that is underway. I have not forgotten about my promise for books for you all that set forth committee memberships and resolution index, etc. Just have to find a time when crises that need immediate address abate for a while so we can get those, and I hope to get them to you before the next meeting. And again, Commissioner Schweitzer, excuse me for leaving you off the distribution list, and we'll make that one work. I believe that is everything, Mr. President. Very happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any board members have any questions?
If I can add one more thing, I've got about 20 construction projects going right now, and this one is remarkably absent from any controversy. So commend Garmong, Nations Group, and the board for working things through.
It's good to hear.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks to you two guys out there.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have said it, Brian.
All is well. All right.
So, Mr. President, you need a motion for this action item, correct? So I would move to approve Resolution 2021-06.
I'll second.
The motion has been made and seconded to approve Resolution 2021-06, declaring special purchase of operating equipment Will you call the roll, please?
Sure. Dave Patterson,
Aye.
Chris Schweitzer,
Aye.
Mayor Duke Bennett,
Aye.
John Marvel,
Aye.
Steve Witt,
Aye.
Terry Conley,
Aye.
and Emily Crapo.
Aye.
Motion has been approved. Also under new
So, Mr.
business,
Yep.
will be the acceptance of Spectra's candidate, Miss Tania Warner. Again, Dave Patterson and Steve Witt and myself interviewed this young lady. She is an excellent candidate, but as you heard, we need, as a board, to approve Spectra's hiring her as our general manager, not general manager, but manager of the new convention center. So,
John, I'll make the motion on behalf of our committee. As John said, Steve and John and I interviewed this young lady, and I was particularly impressed with not only her professionalism overall, but the fact that, and Dave spoke to the fact that she's opened a facility not unlike ours, but her attention to detail and even the questions that she posed. We were talking earlier about air filtration and things that, we're all more vigilant than I think we've ever been in our lives over cleanliness and those kind of things, but yet it's also going to be a selling point for this facility. So she really seemed to have a grasp of it, and I think all three of us were impressed. So I would make the motion that we hire Tania Warner as the GM for the convention center.
I will second.
motion
Mr. President,
has been, yes,
before you call the roll on that, can that motion be shown that you're approving the hiring by Spectra
yes.
of the general manager, or some question about whose employee she would be, and she's definitely Spectra's employee, so just want to be sure the motion reflects that.
The board members all understand that, correct?
Yes, thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Right.
Dave Patterson,
Aye.
Chris Schweitzer,
Aye.
Mayor Duke Bennett,
Aye.
John Marvel,
Aye.
Steve Witt, Terry Conley,
Aye.
Emily Crapo.
Aye.
All right. David, you're still on there. Thank you very much. And when does she move in?
Yeah, no, thank you, everybody. Actually, Tennille and I will be on site for the May board meeting, and then she's hoping to be on site permanently in very early June. So she'll be bouncing back and forth a couple times because she's a couple hour drive away, but she could not be more excited. I talked to her yesterday, and I told her she would be the first to know as soon as we got done here. So I'll be texting her, and I can't wait to see all of you in person. We are ready to go. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. All right, are there any other questions or comments from the board members? Hearing none, we're adjourned.
Okay.
Next regular board meeting will be May the 19th. Same time, same place. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you need anything, let us know.